Faulkner has said that he doesn't like the interviews. Do you?
No, not really. I started to write professionally or
Personally, professionally, professionally, yes.
I was always writing as a
Yeah.
child, but I was first published in I mean as a my first book was published in '97.
Can you just tell how you started being a writer? Started.
See, well,
Yes.
one of course was that you see, I come from a family of fine artists where everybody paints. So writing was not something that was part of the family tradition or legends or anything.
Yeah.
All my uncles went to schools of art and that kind of thing and so on. So all of us painted, even I paint. So the assumption was that I would also end up going to the school of art and everything. So writing was something that was not taken seriously or importantly enough in my particular family. So I was a very secretive writer. Nobody knew I wrote. I was kept very quiet, and no one even realized that I was writing away as a child. Um, then I started writing short stories and so on when I was in my 20s. And again, I was a very secretive writer. And I think one day I used to work in advertising, and so those days the computers had just come, and we didn't have computers at home then. So I would use the office computer to key in and stuff like that. And I forgot. I took a printout and forgot to take it with me and left it on my table and went. And so this art director who was sitting next to me read it, and he liked the story so much. And the next day when I came back, I was looking for the story, and I looked at him and I said, "Did you see this paper?" And then he pulled it out of his drawer and gave it to me, and I said, "Did you read it?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "What did you think?" And he said, "I loved it." And he said, "Why don't you tell the world that you're writing?" And I said, "I'm a shy writer, I'm a secretive writer." So what he did was he talked to somebody in Times of India, and they started editor. He was then the assistant editor. He's To this day he's my first reader. So everything that I write, he reads it first. And so he's this person who told me when he read a couple of short stories, and he said, "Have you thought of publishing it?" And that was the first time I thought, okay, maybe my stories are good enough to be, yeah, started with this one. So,
Uh, do you feel you need any seclusion place to write?
not seclusion, but I prefer to write in my house because I'm surrounded by all. I need all that around me when I start writing.
How much? How many pages do you turn out each day?
On a good day, about 1,000 words.
Oh, wonderful.
On a bad day, nothing.
Does the writing of poetry help you? The write poetic paragraphs in your story, say, consider the tree I was reading the other day.
Yeah.
About the caterpillars.
I suppose so, because there is a certain
They were in a dream and you woke up by scratching your
so
and
there
mother.
is, I think, a certain poetic imagery that I use in
Yeah.
my writing, which is drawn from the fact that I'm a poet.
Is there any possible formula to follow in order to be a good novelist?
No, absolutely no formula.
Could the lack of security, happiness, honor be an important factor in the artist's creativity?
Yes, you see, I read somewhere the other day that writers are very unhappy people. So, which is why they end up writing, because they need to create a parallel world to inhabit. Now, mostly, if you will find reality is very hard to deal with, there are two ways of escaping it. One is, of course, you become insane, where you go off into an alternate world and never come back. The more safer option is to become a writer. So I'm not saying that this unhappiness is because of factors around you. Sometimes people can also be so sensitive that a lot of things makes them unhappy.
Does a writer need any economic freedom?
Yes, because you see, if you want to be able to write the way you want to write without losing artistic integrity, then you should be able to have some form of taking care of, all your economic liabilities are taken care of. You have a kind of assured income, etc. So unless you have all of this, it's very easy to commercialize your writing.
Yeah. So, ma'am, what I have while reading your mistress or any of your books, so like Lessons in Forgetting, it is seen that you have done a lot of research. So how much research you put into
A lot of it.
how many years you take to
See, for instance, Mistress, it took me about some 2.5 years to research before I could. I would write, and what would happen was that I would write like a chapter and then discover I can't go forward because I don't have material, so I need to research it. So it's very simple, you know. In Kathakali, there is a basic premise. This dance form I write about. There's a basic premise that for 1 minute of performance on the stage, you have to put 100 hours of practice. It's pretty much the same when it comes to writing. For one page, there is 100 hours.
100 hours per 1 hour.
100 hours for 1 minute.
1 minute.
So it's, I think, pretty much like that with
Yes.
research.
Do you have any ideal reader in your mind while writing?
No, not really. I think I am my own first reader. If I would be happy to read a book like that, then that for me is work done well.
How much of your writing is based on a personal experience?
Personal experience is very nil because I lead a very boring, dull life. But I observe a lot of things around me. Then, during the course of my research, I unearth stories, I dig up information and stuff like that. So, all of that goes into my writing.
Do you give emphasis on your character or story?
Both.
Both.
Because you see, what happens is
the
the
characters
character
are self real or imaginary?
Imaginary, mostly imaginary. But I might take, you know, something from here, something from there, kind of thing. But if the characters are strong, they dominate the story in a certain way that they take the story forward.
Oh, you might normally to go before the finally to the finish.
I write longhand, you see.
That I know.
Yeah,
that I
so
know.
that's my
Then-
first draft.
Yeah,
And then it's keyed in into the computer, so
Yeah.
that becomes my second draft.
yeah.
And then I clean it up, and it goes to the publishers. So 3.
The three.
And then maybe after the publisher, the editor reads it and has some
After that,
suggestions.
yeah.
But that is more
Not-
editing.
Yeah,
It's not,
not
a draft.
Yes. It is seen that I am coming to your point. It is seen that your novels have been mostly portrayed South Indian life and especially Kerala extensively. Is it because you were born and brought up there?
I was born in Kerala, not brought up there. I grew up in Chennai.
I see.
So I didn't grow up in Kerala at all.
Yeah.
Went there every summer. My grandparents lived there. My family still lives there, and so on. So I have a, I think, very instinctive and innate understanding of the place and its people.
Do you feel yourself to be in the competition with the other writers?
No, I think one thing I know for sure is that I am not in competition with anybody in anything anywhere in the world.
Think about your critics, since they are a subject that most be close to the heart of the writer.
See, initially when I started, I used to get hurt when I had bad reviews, okay, and feel very elated when I had good reviews. I still feel very elated when I have good reviews, but now I don't dwell too much on bad reviews. It just says it's okay. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't like my book, fine, good for you, but there are others who do.
How do you react to the critics who tells that your writings are embodiment of myth, mythology, and montages of life?
Yeah, exactly. So I said, when they say something nice, good. If they don't like it, no problem.
I saw somewhere your lessons in forgetting has become a movie also.
Yeah, I did the screenplay for the film. So when I did the screenplay, obviously the medium is so different that there were things
Yes.
that I needed to change. Uh, and the reason I did the screenplay was so that I could have some control over it, you know, and so they didn't completely screw up my book
Yeah.
and turn it into something else.
Do you read your contemporaries?
Mostly on and off. I won't say I read everybody that,
Yeah.
you know, but on and off.
Could you just comment on the future of the novel? Because now new technology innovations is so.
No, it won't change. I still think people will read. They might read it on a Kindle or iPad or something, but people will still read.
While interviewing Mani Ratnam, you had once said about of his film Siruvar that it will not be knowing of time. If you remember. In case I put the same question to you as a novelist.
You know, one thing that I realized is that whatever happens today, uh, when I'm dead, it doesn't matter to me. You know, whether I'm read or not read, I'm not going to be around here to know. So that way, if while I'm alive and I see people around me who are enjoying my writing, That is good enough for me.
After reading Mistress once, this eminent novelist M. Mukundan had remarked, you feel as if you are walking back home in the pale early morning light at the end of the night-long Kathakali performance. What fills your soul then is the Santam, the last of 9 bhavas. Does it apply to all your novels?
I think so. I think so, and because that is one thing that I aspire towards, this peace.
After lessons in forgetting, what is the next?
Okay, this time I've got a kind of shift in my writing, and I'm moving into what they call as a genre novel, which is I've written a crime novel. So that
Nice.
is scheduled to be published in late August, early September.
Wonderful. All the best. And do you have any regret in life, ma'am?
No, no, not really.
You had once planned to write on the backdrop of Odisha's olive Ridley. If I remember, you have once contacted me while I was in Madhya Pradesh.
Huh.
Is that project still on?
No, no. In fact, what happened was that this is when I was working on Lessons in Forgetting, and I wanted to use the Ridley turtle as a metaphor. But somehow it just didn't happen. And yesterday, in fact, when I was driving through
Chilka.
to Chilka, I was just thinking, I was telling my son, in fact, and I said, I initially wanted to set while we were there at the sea mouth, and we were looking at the water, and I was telling him how I actually wanted to write about the Ridley turtle, but somehow it was not meant to be, and I used the cyclone as a metaphor instead.
You have the professor in psychology.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.